Welcome to Famous with me, Jacy Valeras. I am here for another solo episode, and today I'm going to be answering all of your questions. I took to my Instagram account last week and said, ask me anything. Nothing is off the table. It can be about my digital marketing company. It can be about doing celebrity interviews. Whatever it is, I want to know your questions and I want to answer them for you. So, gonna pick up my phone here and start answering some of the questions that you were most interested in. It was a mixed bag for sure. Let's kick things off with question number one. Who was the most unexpected, down-to-earth celeb you've ever met? I'm going to have to say Dennis Quaid on this one. I actually had the opportunity to interview Dennis twice. Once was totally unexpected. I didn't even know he was going to be at the event that I was going to. It was at the Ryman Auditorium, and we were there honoring Charlie Pride and a statue that they were dedicating to him and his family. And I saw Dennis down in the audience. He was actually working with Charlie Pride's family at that time. And I said to my co-producer, let's get an interview with Dennis if he is willing. And so we did. We walked down there. We asked him for an interview and I got a quick little thing. He was like the most down-to-earth person in the whole world. I ended up getting a follow-up, sit-down, proper interview with Dennis about a year later where I got to actually just sit on the couch with him and talk to him for like 20 minutes. It was the most unbelievable experience. He was so down to earth. He even actually stayed after the interview and we just chit-chatted about life and a bunch of different things so we could get to know each other a little better. He was fantastic. Did not expect him, being the gigantic movie star that he is, to be so down to earth and welcoming. So there's the answer on that one. Question number two. What's a behind the scenes moment that was way more chaotic than the final product? I'm going to have to say the ACM Awards. This red carpet was absolute, total chaos from beginning to end. Our cameraman forgot to turn in his COVID protocol, like the forms and all of that he had to do to get on the carpet. So for the first hour of setup, we actually didn't have a cameraman and didn't know if we were going to get one. So that set the mood for just like total panic, total chaos. Eventually it worked out. He showed up. We were able to start filming. And then it was just one interview after the next. I think I did something like 37 interviews in the span of 2 hours. So it was total chaos, but the final product turned out great. And I still look back on those videos today and I'm so grateful I had that opportunity. Chaos aside, it was absolutely such a dream come true to get that opportunity. Next question, who's someone that you didn't expect to vibe with but totally did? That's a really good question because a lot of times a celebrity will come in, sit next to me, and I really have no idea what to expect because oftentimes I haven't met that person before. I'm gonna have to go with Scott Hamilton. He is an Olympic gold medalist for figure skating. I remember it was my birthday and I told him that it was my birthday when he sat down. He sang happy birthday to me. We had like the best conversation. I totally vibed with him. We were laughing, joking. It was like we were old friends within 5 minutes. So I did not expect to connect with an athlete on that level, but he was the absolute coolest. And that's another one where after the interview was finished, we ended up staying in the room and just chatting for like another half hour. The next one is, what's your most unexpected celebrity connection story? This one I'm going to have to say Crystal Gayle because I met her when I was 15. She was the first really famous person that I ever met. I've told this story on many occasions, but her tour bus was parked at a venue near where I grew up. I knocked on her door. The tour manager came out. He invited me to come and meet her after the show, which I did. We kept in touch. We started writing letters to each other. We became essentially pen pals. And I still know her to this day. Every time I see her at an event in Nashville, we hug and we just have a few minutes to catch up. So that has definitely been like the weirdest connection because I know her from my childhood. All right, the next one is best Nashville moment of your career so far. Hands down, I don't even have to think about this, having lunch with Naomi Judd. I got to meet her over lunch at Bricktops here in Tennessee, a little bit south of Nashville. And that was a restaurant she picked because she loved it. We literally sat and had lunch for about 3 hours. Her husband was there. My friends Kelly Lang and TG Shepherd were there. They had initially introduced me to her. And that was by far the coolest thing that has ever happened to me since I moved to Nashville. Because where else in the world would you just be able to sit down and have lunch with Naomi Judd, right? This city is filled with magical and unexpected moments all the time, and that's why I love it so much. Right, this is a question more on the social media and digital marketing side of things. What is one small thing that really boosts someone's online presence? I'm gonna have to say consistency. It sounds so easy, but if you stay consistent and you post content as often as you possibly can, directing it to the audience that you want to attract, eventually over time, you will start to gain the audience that you're hoping to gain. Okay, this is a juicier question. Ever had a celebrity request something totally random before an interview? I've never had someone request something other than talking points that were totally off limits. Like if someone did not want to talk about something that had been in the press previously, that has come from a publicist saying, we know you're interviewing XYZ. Please do not ask them about this, this, and this. That happens pretty frequently, I will say, just because the person I'm interviewing is there for a reason and they want to talk either about their new project or something exciting that's going on in their career, and they don't want to talk about their past or maybe some sort of scandalous thing they were involved in. So that happens frequently. I will also say that a couple of times, not many, maybe 2 or 3 times, I've had a publicist be pretty pushy with the angles of the camera, meaning my camera crew has set up and we are ready to go with the interview, and then they come in and they want to switch it all up. They don't like the way their client is looking on camera or the crop of where the camera is cutting off their legs or something like that, which I always find to be a little bit picky, but you know what? It's okay. We're all trying to make each other happy here, and I always want the best outcome for whoever it is that I am sitting across from. So it doesn't usually bother me. This is kind of a cool question. If you could go back and watch the very first interview you ever did, what do you think you'd say to that version of you? The very first on-camera interview that I ever did was with Marty Stewart on his tour bus. Talk about high pressure. I remember just completely panicking as I was standing outside of his tour bus door before they let us in. It was such a tiny space that my cameraman had to finagle the ways that he could set up the cameras. And it was basically from like the back and side of me that they were able to capture the interview. I was so nervous, but at the same time, I had prepared so much. And I think I would go back and tell her, keep doing what you're doing, because this level of preparation is actually what's going to set you apart from other interviewers. And I've been told that quite a bit. I've done so many interviews over the years, and often a celebrity that I'm talking with will say to me, thank you so much for preparing. You would have no idea how often I'm sitting across from somebody that hasn't prepared at all. So I take pride in doing that, and I'm glad that younger me knew how important that was at the time. What's one unexpected Nashville moment that you look back on? There have been hundreds of unexpected Nashville moments. One thing I always tell people when I get asked questions like this is how often I have actually been in an elevator with the most random celebrity of all time. I would have to say the top of my list would include Dog the Bounty Hunter and his wife Beth. I rode in an elevator with them during CMA Fest. Super nice. I really honestly loved getting to know them for the 2 minutes that we were on the elevator together, but that was super random. I would have never expected to be in an elevator with them in Nashville. I was also in an elevator with Kenny Rogers, which was very cool because getting to talk to him was just like the ultimate. So I've definitely run into a lot of celebrities in elevators or in buildings and stuff like that around Nashville. I will say I always take my opportunity to say hello, tell them something about themselves that I admire, or if I'm a fan, I let them know I introduce myself, because you never know when you're going to get the opportunity to be in an elevator with Kenny Rogers ever again. What is one full circle moment you've experienced in your career? The biggest full circle moment of my entire career has to be working with Sharon Lois and Bram. I am their creative director now. I've co-produced several of their latest albums. I've designed album covers for them. I've worked on their social media. The reason that's such a full circle moment for me is because they were my very first concert when I was 5 years old. And to know that that little child who admired them so much would someday get to work for them is just totally mind-blowing and the most full circle thing I've ever experienced. How do you try to keep your nerves down with excitement when you're talking to someone famous? This is such a good question because the truth of the matter is, sometimes I can't. I mean, we all get nervous, right? Even though I've been doing this a long time and I'm very used to sitting across from somebody I don't know and it's my job to get to know them, a lot of times I get nervous, especially if it's somebody that I really admire, because I'm going to have the chance to talk with them about anything and everything I could possibly want to. I think one of the ways that I keep my nerves down is preparation. Someone told me early in my career, if you are always prepared, it will eliminate 50% of your nerves. And that is so very true. I always prepare for my interviews ahead of time, so that eliminates a lot of the nervousness I might feel going into a situation where I don't know the person or I really admire the person that I'm going to be sitting next to. All right, this is the last question for today. What happened during an interview when you had to cut or restart the interview? I was interviewing Ty Herndon and his microphone fell off in the middle of the interview. And this actually happened, I think, twice during the interview. If you know Ty, if you know anything about him, he is the most wonderful guy, super down to earth. We had a really good laugh about it, but most recently, I think that's the last one I can think of where we actually had to call cut in the middle of the interview and fix that audio situation. If you have any more questions, leave them in the comments below because I would be happy to do another episode like this. In the meantime, don't forget to leave us a review if you have a minute because that is what helps this podcast grow. I will catch you in the next one.